Well, it's been a pretty bad couple of weeks for comic book character casting controversy. Only a short time after the Titans Starfire blowback resurfaced with a new trailer, as well as seemingly legitimizing the philosophy that age is just a number when it comes to entire casts themselves, the CW's upcoming new Batwoman show is catching flack from lesbians because they casted a lesbian actress to play a lesbian character, but not the lesbian actress that lesbians wanted to play that lesbian character, apparently. Ruby Rose is the lesbian in question. You may have seen her on Orange is the New Black, Pitch Perfect 3, Triple X, and John Wick 2, the latter two movies providing ample proof she can handle herself in an action-oriented role, or at least her stunt woman can. This controversy is different from other comic book meltdowns in that it has little to do with accuracy of the portrayal, and everything to do with they picked a lesbian that appeals to straight white men. Just so everybody's on the same page, we first need a quick history of the character. There are two incarnations of Batwoman, and neither of them are Batgirl, by the way. That's a completely different person, so don't get the two confused. One was created back in the 50s as a love interest for Batman, so she was straight. Her name was Catherine Kane, typically known as Kathy, but either due to unpopularity or just poor execution of the character, she was written out of existence in the 80s. And not just written out of existence, I'm talking retroactively made never to have existed in the first place. Gotta be a pretty shit character to pull that off. Then she was reinvented in 2006 as part of the New 52 modernization, and the new Batwoman, also named Catherine Kane, but known as Kate this time, is by all accounts an official Jewish lesbian, which is great! Because she was created that way. When you're created that way, things are good. It's when people decide to just palette swap race and sexuality that you create problems. This is what separates people like me from people who are just bigoted across the board, which, by the way, we're the overwhelming majority of people supposedly making racist comments on the internet, because I guess it's racist to care more about accuracy than diversity. But what separates us from actual racists and bigots is that we like characters who are cool and true to themselves, regardless of what race or identity they are. Dude, identity is literally the most important and central part of a superhero. Every superhero struggles with their identity. That's why it's so annoying when people come around and start changing it for no reason. You're diminishing the struggle by rewriting it to suit your ideology. Jon Stewart is a better Green Lantern than Hal Jordan, by the way. There, irrefutable proof I'm not racist. Glad we sorted that one out. So yeah, Batwoman is not only a lesbian, but a Jewish lesbian. And I saw a tweet that literally wished the CW casted an actual Jewish lesbian instead of Ruby Rose. Because nothing's ever good enough, or accurate enough, and because Hollywood is criminally underrepresenting the massive Jewish lesbian actress community, of which there are several. Like at least 5. These whiners want acting to be reality and nothing else. Reality TV and reality movies. If you've got a Jewish lesbian character, you better get a Jewish lesbian actress to play her. If you've got a transgender military veteran character with a degree from Harvard, you better get a transgender military veteran actor. But if they went to Yale, it's a non-starter. Boot that bitch. They can't understand that role. The far left doesn't even know they're trying to murder empathy with shit like this. The group that claims to be the most morally just and empathetic and understanding of people's plights is the same group that claims it's impossible to understand people who are different than you. That's what empathy is. It's putting yourself in someone else's shoes. But the far left says, don't bother with that shit, those shoes don't fit. But like, you can still walk in them for a while, it'll be uncomfortable, but you'll have a better idea of what those shoes are like. It is so important to disavow these maniacs, these hypocritical harpies who screech at injustice and thus never shut the fuck up because everything is injustice to them. If you're a liberal, step a little further center, man. You want there to be as much distance as possible between you and these flying rats. I can't wait until I'm famous and labeled an alt-right figurehead by people who can't argue outside utopic idealism and routinely kick their own people to the curb for suggesting you consider multiple viewpoints or follow conservatives on Twitter. But anyway, I want to get back to the Ruby Rose thing, specifically the argument that she's a lesbian for straight men, because I searched the trends when the news came out and this came up a lot. Basically what I gather from the argument is that it's not okay that she's hot, and it's not okay that she's already pretty famous. But like, what did you want? A bull dyke? Last I checked, Batwoman in the comics isn't an overweight gym teacher who wears flannel. Ruby Rose is the type. The thing is, In all my Twitter searches, I didn't see a single name of who should have gotten the role instead. It was all just a better lesbian or someone who can act. Nobody had specific solutions because people just want to complain. See, it's all about inclusion, diversity, and authenticity, right up until it's actually not. And people still have actors and actresses they don't like in their own quote-unquote community, and the identity-based loyalty goes right out the window. Funny how that works. Some people don't think Ruby Rose is a good actor. Great! Go with that! That shit at least has merit that you can argue over. Ruby Rose shouldn't be Batwoman because she's a bad actor. That is legitimate reasoning and nobody's gonna call you crazy for saying so. But Ruby Rose shouldn't be Batwoman because she's the wrong kind of lesbian? You go fuck yourself. I have an idea that will solve all of this. Anyone should be able to play anything as long as they can do it convincingly. Have a trans woman play a straight man, who cares? As long as she can do it convincingly, which will take a lot of makeup and prosthetics, that's for sure. It'll be real expensive, but if you can do it, go for it. Acting is acting. Always has been, always will be. Let's shift gears now and talk about vegetarianism and veganism, also known by their street name, malnutrition. Recently saw an argument on Twitter that reignited my contempt for such things. Twitter is super good for when you want to piss yourself off vicariously through other people. When was the last time an episode of this series didn't have an underlying code of rage attached to it? Humans are omnivores. Omnivores eat meat and plants, not meat or plants, and plants. Omnivores are biologically built to be omnivores. If you are born with a taste for both meat and plants, you are malnutritionizing yourself when you abstain from either of them. If you're religious, you believe God invented the circle of life and the food chain, which is the understanding that plants and animals will feed off each other in an ever-continuous cycle. This is as God intended, and God saw that it was good, as he always does. So if you're religious and a vegetarian/vegan, you're going against God's classification of good, which makes you a heretic. Enjoy hell! If you're non-religious and a vegetarian/vegan, you're ignoring half the circle of life in favor of the other half. You refuse to partake of the meat of animals, but when you die, you allow yourself to become food for both worms and plants. That's not very balanced. In fact, you're placing yourself at the very bottom of the food chain in that situation. Humans have eaten meat since our inception. I saw someone say that we only like it because corporations put chemicals and shit in it. Like, are you high on chemicals? We've been cooking meat since the discovery of fire, and there was nobody around to pump the chickens full of steroids back then. That was back when people actually hunted for food or to maintain the balance of the ecosystem. If you hunt for sport, there's no place for you to use that in this argument because you don't eat it. You just mount it on your wall and stare at it like a psychopath because you're a psychopath. I recently played a little bit of a game that has sort of medieval hunting traditions in it, and there's something to be said for hunting as a means to maintain balance. It was a new perspective I'd never heard. But when a population of animal gets out of hand, or a particular beast starts to kill indiscriminately for sport, not for food, and upsets the balance of nature in doing so, it's up to hunters and those with the means to restore that balance. You can equate that to modern examples of population control which are necessary to prevent the ecosystem from being completely dominated by one species. In those instances, sometimes partial animal genocide is pretty necessary for the continued survival of others. Anyway, it's been proven time and again that vegetarians and vegans are not getting the proper nutrients they need, which may apparently include ones vital to intelligent and logical brain function, because it's not very smart to deprive yourself of necessary vitamins and minerals in pursuit of an ideology you're making no impact with. Every time someone goes vegan, a slaughterhouse closes its doors. Nope, there actually aren't enough slaughterhouses to support people's increased need for farm-to-table organic bullshit. So ironically, the mindset that prioritizes organic and all-natural foods you commonly see among vegetarians and vegans is the same mindset that's leading to a huge increase in slaughter for organic-minded meat eaters. Isn't that fun? Basically what that means is if you're a meat eater who sympathizes with vegans/vegetarians and is kind of half-assedly adopting their views of naturality, you gotta pick a side, because you're making slaughter more prevalent with your pickiness and refusal to eat processed food while you're a meat eater. Either jump ship and go vegan-vegetarian, or get a McDonald's hamburger once in a while. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.